Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a final look at the finished vignette of Pennywise and the sewer system that he is currently residing in. I'm very pleased with the way this turned out. However, my timeline has been crunched. The rest of October is going to be a whirlwind. I'm going to be out a little bit with my job. So I wanted to get this done and put to bed. And so what I want to do is I'll show you the finished product here in the video, or the finished vignette in the video, and then I'll kind of go into some details on things that I was able to do and kind of how I did it. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to video some of it. I wanted to get it done so I could get ready for my travels. So with that, let's take a quick look at the finished vignette. And let me know what you think. Okay, here you can see the finished vignette. It's got the old dead, dilapidated look of the sewer system in Deary, Maine. You got Georgie down playing in the water. Little sign that says stay out of the water, it's sewage. Got the old poster in the back that shows Deary. Nothing says Pennywise has done this before, like the other balloon stuck in the trees. So I'm very pleased with the way this came out. I'll show you how I did quite a bit of it here in a moment. You can see the water coming out of the sewer. Pennywise himself is sort of hidden back behind some of that dead weeds and grass. All right, so that's a good look at the finished piece. Okay, so you guys are probably wondering, or perhaps are wondering, how I was able to get the old rundown look, the dead vines and bushes and things like that. That's the look that I really wanted to go for here in the sewer system for this vignette. And so I was able to search on Amazon and then our local Hobby Lobby and Michael's and things like that, and look for some certain products that I thought would be beneficial in helping me do that. I'll link some of these things in the description so you can find them for yourselves, or find something that's suitable that looks similar to that. 100 things would work, but I'll show you some of the things I use. The first thing that I use, and I saw another young lady on Facebook that does remarkable displays for Halloween. She uses something called coconut fiber. And so to get that dead look. And so I was able to find some coconut fiber on Amazon. I ordered, I think, 3 of these in a bundle. They're relatively inexpensive. You can probably find them at your local pet store. They're for nesting, for small animals and birds and things like that. But once you open these, they're kind of tightly wound. It's the same material also that they kind of make the potting plants that you hang on that to kind of hold in the moisture in the soil. So if you have one of those, you could use those and rip this stuff apart too. So any way you look at it, this is what I was able to use. And really you just pull it apart, cut it, and then place it onto your vignette. Most of the foliage and the weeds and everything on my vignette are just really, they're just laying down there. They're not even glued down. So when this is all over and done with, I just pull the stuff up, put it in a bag, and either recycle it for next year, or toss it, or whatever. So that's a really easy way to do that. A couple of the other things that I was able to find and use at Hobby Lobby, you guys saw these earlier. These are the cattails. You get a whole bundle of them, quite a few of them in there for 10 bucks. So you can't really go wrong with this. They really add to the water scene, especially up by the shoreline. Essentially, they're pretty simple. You just pull them out and really just kind of poke them into the foam, just like you would this. They just kind of stick in there like that. You get a whole bunch of them in a pack for 10 bucks. So not a bad deal on those. Some of the other stuff I showed you before, I did open this pack. This is called Dry Vines and Dead Foliage. Again, got this at Hobby Lobby at $10 again. So really, really good stuff. You just pull it apart, lay it down, and it looks wonderful. It's the exact look that I was going for. It complements the coconut fibers really, really well. They go perfect together. And then you can buy these little flowers. Again, this comes in a pack at Hobby Lobby. Again, I picked these up. Same thing, $10. You get a whole bunch of them. They're hot glued at the bottom, so you essentially just pluck them off of there. And then I did glue these on, just a drop of either hot glue or a drop of Mod Podge to do that stuff with there. And so I was able to do that, and so that looks good. And then I really thought that, what a better way to display this. Those trees in the back that you saw, and I'll put another video at the end of this so you can see it again, but those spooky haunted trees in the back, we got those at Michael's earlier this year. I think we picked up 4 or 5 of them, relatively inexpensive when they first came out. They're glitter trees. They're black, they glitter. I didn't like that, and so basically I took a can of black flat spray paint, spray painted both front and back and the sides, let that dry, then took a can of just normal brown and just barely, swiped across a couple times with some brown, and then a little bit of lighter brown with a can of spray paint, all flat. And so it really helped to take shape. It hides some of the sparkles or the glitter, and it looks really, really good. And so I'll show you that. I'll break down the display again, and I'll show you the rest of it, the back and everything, so you can see that here after I show you the rest of the products. And then I wanted to kind of tie everything together. It is my favorite of the scary genre type movies. I love Stephen King, and I love Pennywise. It's just, he's a very, very creepy clown. And so I thought, what a better way to display that he's done this before. Georgie here by the sewer drain is not the first kid that he's tried to pluck out of this area. And so what a better way to display that by putting some red balloons up in those trees behind the vignette to kind of symbolize that, hey, he lets go of these balloons and he goes and grabs these kids. He uses the balloons to entice them. Then he lets go of the balloon, and if you've seen the movie, you know what comes next. And so I wanted to kind of put some, just dangling, floating balloons that got stuck in those trees. And so the way I did that is we went to, I think it was Michael's or Joann's or somewhere, and I found, you could use 100 things, right? But I found these styrofoam balls about this size, and I don't see a price on them. They were $3 or $4 for this, I'm assuming, and so essentially they're pretty good styrofoam balls, and they bend a little bit. I mean, you got to be a little firm with them, but you can almost shape them. I shape them with my hands, just kind of narrowing one of the ends down a little bit. And if you just keep working at it, I know that's hard to see, but if you just kind of keep working at it, you can see that it slowly but surely starts to take a shape of a balloon. And then I have these wooden skewers. So essentially I put this bad boy up into a skewer like this, and then took some red paint, put about 3 coats of red paint on this. And then once it was dry, took some white thread, put the thread up into the little hole from the skewer, and then put a drop of hot glue on it. And then just kind of stuck these into the trees to sort of symbolize that. So you gotta be creative. You gotta think what would work for a balloon. A balloon this size is hard to find. You could shape them out of clay. I thought about doing that, but that's a lot of work. You bake it, it's heavy. I almost picked up some fake grapes at one of the craft stores, because I was like, that's a pretty good shape. It's about the right size. I can just paint those grapes, pluck those off the vine and paint the grapes and use those. But then turn around in the foam section and found these little foam balls. So use your imagination, get creative. That's what this is all about. and find something that'll work. And I think those balloons, at least in my mind, help create the illusion that this is a pretty scary scene when you think about it. You know, Pennywise down there by the sewer, luring kids down there, and then you know, with his balloon. So this kind of symbolizes he's kind of a pro at this. He's done it before. So that's that. And then for the water coming out of the sewer pipe, I think this is a great idea. And I found a similar idea online, but I'm like, you know, I wonder if this will work. And so I took the Mod Podge Clear. This is the gloss. Same Mod Podge that I put onto the resin after it was dry. Put the Mod Podge on and then kind of smeared it around, blew it with a straw or with a can of compressed air to sort of get the movement and the ripples in the water. So I took a piece of plastic. This is a plastic lid. You can kind of see here, I just took a paintbrush and I paintbrushed some general shapes of what water coming out of a waterfall. I mean, just basically a rectangle, right? And then when it dries, and it doesn't take this very long to dry, I took a very dry white paint on a paintbrush, very dry, and just basically streaked down it with some white. I haven't done that on these, but just down the length of it with a really dry white paintbrush to get that white effect. You take an X-Acto knife, and the crazy part is you just start going, let me put my old man readers on here so I can actually see what I'm doing. I'll cut my finger off. But you essentially just kind of peel the edge up. I don't know if you can kind of see how that's working. And you got to go slow. But once you get it up like this, especially after it's painted, now you simply take it and peel it right off of there. Right? And now you're left with this. And you can kind of see that's very translucent, especially with the white on there. And then you just lay it. I laid it coming out of the sewer pipe and then folded this down with a little paintbrush to kind of lay on top of the water, kind of like that. And that's the water coming out of the sewer pipe. So again, think about, you know, what's the look you're going for and how can you make that happen. So pretty easy way to do that. Costs basically nothing. Just put it on some plastic. You can reuse it. I just laid that back down there and it's stuck again. So I'm just going to save these, and if I need to use them for something, I certainly will. And then the last thing I want to show you in the products that I used is this color wash tint. It's a French roast, a very brown color. I picked this up. I've had it for a while. You can kind of see the color, and I basically dabbed this onto paper towel and went across the top of the stonework on the top of the wall to sort of weather that. I took it on a paintbrush and sort of dripped it and streaked it down the wall and then rubbed that in to kind of give it a weathered look there. And then you saw the little signs. I'll show you those again. There's a little Deary sign that almost looks like a travel poster on the wall. Then there's a little open sewer sign, you know, letting, you know, kids like Georgie know to stay out of the water. I found those photos, you know, online, just a quick search. I was able to copy the photo and save it into a PowerPoint, resize it to what I wanted to use, and then printed that out on my printer. Took me a couple tries to get the right size, but once I nailed it down, I just cut it out with some scissors and used some stick glue to kind of adhere those to a little stick and then to the wall, and then weathered those a little bit again with some of this dye or this tint. And it turned out, I think, really good. It adds the little details that shows that there's more to this than just, you know, throwing it together. You think it through, and hopefully you put the little details are what make it, at least in my opinion, what make it pop and what make it special. So, okay, so guys, that's all the products. I'm sorry I didn't have time to kind of video all of that, but I really wanted to get this one done before I head out of town. And so with that, let me take you back into the little display and I'll show you some of the other details of how I built the back part of it and put some lights and things like that. So let's take a look at that. All right, guys, if we jump back into the display. Let's look at some of the details. You can see the cattails look really nice where they're displayed. This is the little sign I was telling you about that basically, you know, do not enter sewage water and so on. The little flowers, you can see the glue is still somewhat drying and probably a mistake that I made using that glue. It is the gloss glue, so I didn't even think about that. Just smeared it on there and stuck it. That's what you get for getting in a hurry. These little bushes, these are dried flowers. I forgot to show you those. You can pick those up at your craft store. I just break them off and basically stick them down into the foam. As we move on back, you can see the poster that I was talking about, sort of inked up there for Deary. You can see the sort of a little bridge going across there. Some kids walk across. If you look real close, you can see a little red balloon floating away up at the top. You can see the ink effects that I was talking about across the top of the stonework. Okay, as we come down, so the foam fill, the same thing that I used to make bushes, is shoved into the sewer pipe, and you can see the green light. That's just green fairy lights, and I'll show you those in a moment. And then you can see the water. You can see the white brush strokes there that I was talking about, and it's just a little plastic piece that I showed you, kind of coming out of there. But when you step back and you kind of take a look at it, it serves the purpose pretty well. I was able to paint the base for Georgie. Again, I cut this off of the Lemax Maiden Voyage, and so cut that down with my Dremel tool, repainted the base to sort of match the terrain, repainted his boots green just like they are in the movie, and then just used the same little sailboat. I did add the Mod Podge clear to the water. You can see the sheen on how that looks when I move the camera. And then I did take some little white paint with a dry brush and kind of go around the rocks as though, you know, it was kind of, you know, circulating around those. And so that turned out really good. I'm pleased with the way the light coming out of the sewer reflects onto the water. I think that looks pretty good. And then, so yeah, just all the dead bushes around, just kind of placed in there. Some little plastic flowers, fake flowers that are just shoved in there. Had an extra tree from Department 56, and so the base is cut off. I hot glued a skewer to the back side of that. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Yeah, see it a little bit down in there, not much, but this is shoved down into the foam. And you can see the sewer pipe, the color. Pretty pleased with the way that turned out there as well. And then as we move around to the back of this display, and really I wanted to hide Pennywise in the middle of all this. Now, I did create some of these, okay? And so how did I do that? I forgot to tell you about this. This is a smattering of hot glue. All right, so you take a bundle of this, this is the coconut fiber. You can do it with anything. A bundle of this, wrap it up, cut it off with some scissors at the bottom to make it flat, squirt some hot glue onto some wax paper or the other type of paper. I can't remember what it's called, but you put that on that paper. You basically push this down into that hot glue and let it, and then help it to stand up a little bit, and it does so quite well. And then when that's dry, it basically comes right off the top of that paper. Doesn't stick at all. And then I painted the base of that. I painted that hot glue. You can see another couple of them back there. I painted that hot glue the same color brown and you know, dark brown and light brown, and just let it dry. And then you just plop them down. You can glue them down, you can set them down, but it helps to create some of that stuff that stands up a little bit better than some of the other stuff. So Okay, so if we turn the display around, I did paint the sides, although you can see the big line. I thought about carving all this, and then I thought better of it. This is not as detailed as it probably could be, but nobody's really looking at the back. And then, so how did I do this? Well, I took another piece of foam and essentially cut it out, and cut it out here with my Hot Wire Foam Factory, basically the trenching tool. Just took a slice out to fit this tube in, painted everything back here black. Took these trees, and this is the tree. You can see the look on it. These used to, you can still see the sparkles, the glitter, but it's sort of covered up. It doesn't glitter as much now, which is the look I wanted. And it's brown, and then some little light tan, but it's mostly the darker black is what's really coming through. And then, so basically, I mean, they're just shoved in there, right? You see, I put one in there, and this is decided to move it a little closer, and same thing here. And then I've just got the battery boxes laying behind this, out of sight, out of mind. They're both on timers, both a set of fairy lights, one purple. That's, you can kind of see it runs in between the two trees here. And if you zoom out, obviously it runs up the length of the trees. And this does all kinds of crazy things when you push the button. They flash, or they kind of run and chase, or whatever. I mean, whatever you want it on is fine. They kind of fade in and out. I think that's actually off, but you sort of get the picture there. And then the green lights are just shoved in there, and then another piece of that stuffing, that fiber fill, is shoved into the back to kind of keep some of the light from, you know, protruding out the back so much onto the wall or whatever you put it on. And then, and so that was all just hot glued straight to the back of the wall here. And then I did put a little support piece under it to help sit it down. It's, again, just a small piece of foam hot glued under there to kind of give it its balance. And guys, that's really it. That's the display from the side. And then the display, obviously, from the front is the look that we're going for. So very, very pleased with the way this turned out. It's very detailed. It may be the most detailed piece that I did. And I was talking to my wife earlier. There's a lot of detail and a lot of stuff for this Department 56 piece. This guy right here. So very cool looking dude, very scary looking. They did an amazing job on him. You saw the review that I did on him earlier this year. I did not use the little sewer drain or the grate that comes with him, but I am thinking perhaps, you know, later this year or maybe next year to make another vignette that I can swap him out with, and it'll be more of a street theme with probably the same Georgie figure at the storm drain, street lights. I've got a vision for that too, and so that'll probably be coming later this year or into next year. So anyway, that's a really close look at the finished Pennywise vignette. I love it. It's gonna go on display. I'm gonna find a place for it, and it'll be out the remainder of this year through Halloween. So I hope you enjoy it. All right, so hopefully that gives you a better look at how I was able to think out the process and put what my thoughts were onto the display. Again, I'm very pleased with this. To me, it's very detailed, and I just love it. I couldn't have imagined it would have turned out like this, pouring the resin and all that other stuff. I'd never done that. So you got to witness all that with me on the various parts of the tutorials. And again, as always, if you like what you've seen, go ahead and click the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and consider doing that. Again, it helps to keep me motivated and going forward and producing these videos. We do have Christmas coming up, and so I'm thinking ahead to what I'm gonna do for some of the Christmas displays. I think I may do one more fall display. I'm not real sure yet. I've still got the peanuts to do. So I may do that, I may not. October is going to fly by for me, so the rest of it anyway. So we'll see if I get to it. If not, I'll post some review videos here coming up shortly. But anyhow, I appreciate all the comments. Keep those coming, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Take care.